Hello and welcome to my second video on how to draw common birds, or birds during the lockdown. This is a picture, a very basic picture just done a few seconds ago through the bedroom window looking out across the coast, and this is a very common bird called the mallard duck. Now you may not be able to see a mallard duck from your bedroom window, or you may not be able to see one from your window at all, but if you can't, there's a whole range of different places you can find images on the internet. The great thing with ducks is that they tend to sit still for a long period of time and they tend to gather in large numbers. So you can see that I've had plenty of time to sit and sketch ducks and to try and look at the different ways in which they fly, even to, in this case, count the numbers of feathers on the duck's wings to try and give me more detail for future drawings. It's a painting that never happened. But the good thing is you can actually focus in on the head of a duck and get lots of information drawn of that duck. And so today my plan is to show you how to draw a mallard duck's head. So we're going to start by doing our oval as normal. It's quite a large forehead on a duck, and so as last time, I'm not too bothered about the accuracy with which I draw these lines. They're all drawn with a hard pencil, so I'm going to measure the kind of same sort of width of this oval. I want to draw another line, and I want to draw my duck's bill, which is going to scoop up in kind of traditional Donald Duck fashion into the forehead like so. Not too bothered if it's not very accurate at present, and if you've ever watched Daffy Duck and cartoons like that, you'll notice that they give you this lovely, well, what could be described as ducky face. Scoop it in, scoop it out on the other side, and it's looking a little bit ducky, but we'll get there. Upside down comma on the nose of a mallard duck gives you the black drop with a little hooked beak that you get on the end of a duck's bill anyway. I'm going to add a little line in here to try and give us some idea of the flat nose nature of the mallard. The mallard's scientific name is Platybrincus aras, which means the flat-nosed duck, so actually it even describes itself in its name. I'm going to put a lower mandible in there, and if we get this correct, the duck should be smiling at us. So we're going to add our nostril in there. I'm going to go back halfway into the head, and I'm going to add my eye. It's a little bit large, that we'll come back and we'll change the size of that in a moment's time, and we're getting there. We're getting a ducky shape, so that's quite good. I've just added a scoop in the front, scoop in the back. I'm going to put a cheek in there because they've got this cheek under the eye. So here's the eye. Under there I'm going to scoop forward, and then I'm going to take an angle back about the same from the eye down to there, maybe a bit longer, and curve it round, and well, it looks almost ducky. Okay, I think I'm satisfied with that for the kind of preliminary sketch. Now remember, I don't like drawing or rubbing lines out that I've drawn, because every line should have been worth drawing in the first place, so why draw it if it wasn't important? So I'm not going to be using a rubber or a razor. Okay, so let's get our eye in place first of all, because remember we want to give our bird character. Now in the centre of our duck's eye there is a black pupil, and those taking GCSE biology should know that that pupil is the bit that allows light in. I've left a little white dot in the middle to give it some character. Again, anybody who saw my video yesterday will understand that if your eye looks okay, or the eye of any bird I'm drawing looks okay, then usually I'm satisfied and I'll carry on doing the drawing. If not, this may end up in the bin, in which case you'll never see this video. But there we go. The iris is actually chocolate brown in a duck, and it's beautiful. So when the lockdown's over, get out to a city park somewhere, or go to a beach like I do. Go and have a look at the Go and have a look at the ducks and you'll see they've got these fantastic chocolatey brown eyes. So notice the pupil, where the light goes through into the back of the eye to the retina. The pupil has been drawn in one colour, very dark colour, and the iris, the coloured section of the eye, has been drawn in a paler version, although I've added some shadow around the top, because of course there would be in real life. Now I want to emphasise the fact that the duck, all ducks, have got this kind of scallop to the back of the eye there, and so if I only lean down softly with my pencil, I should be able to give some kind of like darker lines push down and then softer lines push less strongly. Right, let's go to the front of the head. Let's add something into it. I am going to add feathering to my duck's head. Even though in real life ducks are so glossy that, well, certainly mallard ducks are so glossy that really we wouldn't see much feather out of place. They're a kind of duck that's just always out to impress, which is why the males don't really lose their colour even during the winter. Whereas many other species of bird, they lose their coloration, but the males are forever up for trying to show off to mates, or potential mates I should say. Okay, so let's get this bill in place. So scallop it in, and notice I've not quite joined here. What's going on? Well, it's because I want to get another side of this bill in as well, so that you've got an impression of some kind of 3 dimensions. Upside down comma with the little hook at the end also indicates the middle of the beak. So if you look what I'm going to do with the end, I'm just going to dot a line in there. So that actually joins the front of the bill with the back of the bill. Let's put a little bit of detail into our nostril, far more complicated than we ever draw. I don't think people could cope with us doing too much detail on nostrils. I'm going to now make sure that my duck looks quite happy. I've done quite a big build there. This is obviously a big build version of the mallard. I'm going to put a rim in and a rim in, and that sort of disappears under there, but because I just want it to just disappear altogether, I'm going to shade it right into the corner, and because I want the bill to appear to be going flat, I'm going to shade those round. I started off for shading that way and I finished shading this way. I'm doing heavier shading because I looked at the camera work yesterday and realised that you can't see it all. So I am shading slightly differently to things I would do if I was drawing this for myself. Okay, so now I'm going to add a lower bill that's going to appear in here, and I'm going to make my duck look a bit happy, because if you know if you've got your duck right, because it does seem to smile. So lower bill, and then there's this kind of wattly bit. I don't really know what it is, but I'm going to call it a wattle anyway. And then our duck has its chin. So here we go in for the shading. Remember, shading, imagine where the light's coming from and what that shading might look like. If you knew the light, for example, was shining down from above, you'd expect this to be bright and everything underneath should be relatively dark. So let's make it relatively dark. Seems I'm using a very dark pencil today. And what you should be able to see is we're making a 3-dimensional texture to our duck simply by shading with different densities of the pencil. And there we go. So I think I'm seeing a duck coming out of this now, which is encouraging because that's what we're supposed to be drawing. Okay, so I'm just simply adding a few little bits here to show that this glossy duck has shape. Right, so I don't know about you, but I'm seeing a duck in there. Let's complete our duck. I have a feeling that I really got a bit overzealous with the way that I drew the white band on this male's neck here. So I'm going to pretend that line didn't exist because no, it doesn't. There we go. And I think that for the real scale of a duck, that neck is better than the last one we drew. Must make sure we've got some shading underneath the chin. That's where our duck Okay, I'm just playing now because I'm just thinking, okay, so what would make our duck look more like a duck? Obviously, I'm doing this from memory. Hopefully you won't be. You'll either be looking at a real duck, unlikely during the lockdown, unless you have pet ducks, you lucky thing, or you're looking at a picture from the internet and therefore getting ideas off that. But it might be quite scruffy diagram or picture. Sign it off. There's your mallard duck. And I'd suggest that that's a good way to draw one.